Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to have this opportunity to thank you all for attending this meeting. It's my pleasure to talk about the regulatory pathway for orphan drugs. We have started working. I think it's the. We have started on the regulation of orphan drugs since 2017, and we are initiating the new program for orphan drug designation. So I have nothing to disclose. Today we will talk about introduction on rare disease and orphan drugs, and our new program for orphan drug designation and ODD incentives provided by SFDA. According to different international healthcare societies, there are around 5,000 to 8,000 rare disease affecting between 300 to 400 people worldwide. In the United States, there are 30 millions, which is about 1 out of 10 people in the United States. Rare disease affecting between 300 to 400 people worldwide. 1 out of 10 people in the United States suffer from rare disease. 80% are genetic disease. 50 to 75 affected by rare disease are children. 30% of affected children die before their 5th birthday. Rare disease could be responsible for 35% of deaths in the first year of the life. Almost 1 out of 5 cancers is rare. There are no approved therapies for 95% of diseases or rare diseases. Rare disease patients take about 9 years to 8 years until they get the correct diagnosis. So based on that, there is lack of commercial interest in pharmaceutical industry to develop new therapies in rare disease. So the drug registry or the drug regulatory agencies support developing new drugs in rare disease, and they called orphan drugs. For example, in Australia, orphan designation is intended for drugs in orphan conditions or diseases with a prevalence of 2,000 patients in Australia to get orphan incentives, including the 5-year exclusivity. The Saudi MOH defined the rare disease as it affects 1 out of 200 people in Saudi Arabia. So again, the Saudi MOH defined the rare disease as it affects 1 out of 200 people in Saudi Arabia. I know there are different definitions for their disease, but this is the definition by the Saudi MOH. It's the same definition in Europe, and it's the same definition in Australia, almost the same definition in Japan. So in Japan, the number of patients with serious diseases who may use orphan drug should be less than 50,000 patients in Japan, with less than around 4 per 1,000 people in Japan. In the United States, the SFDA, the applicant can submit the application for orphan drug designation at any time in the clinical or non-clinical drug development before the time of marketing authorization. There have been more than 5,000 orphan drug designation in the United States. 1/3, 5,000 orphan drug designation in the last 30 years in the United States. 15% of them designated had at least one approval out of the 878 total approvals. 1/3 within 2 years of the orphan designation. 2/3 within 5 years. However, 8% were within or after the 10 years. 8% of the approvals after 10 years of the orphan drug designation. Same in Europe. The applicant can submit the orphan drug designation at any time in the drug development before the marketing authorization. On the other hand, the TGA, the orphan drug designation application should be submitted and approved 6 months before submitting the marketing authorization. If that was not possible, the applicant may extend it for extra 6 months. In the United States, the annual number of orphan drug designation requests were greater than 500 annually since 2016. In 2020, the Office of Orphan Products received more than 700 new requests for orphan drug designation. 41% increase from 2019. In 2020, they also received more than 280 rare pediatric disease designation requests in the 2020. طويلة شوي لحتى Alhamdulillah, in August 2022, the drug sector in Saudi FDA released a draft of for orphan drug designation. Provide information to the sponsor on how to submit the application for orphan drug designation. That can be submitted at any stage during the clinical development or the preclinical development when the orphan drug designation criteria were met. The proposed indication or the orphan use need to be in treatment, prevention, or diagnosis of a life-threatening or seriously debilitating condition with recognized medical entity with a specific pathophysiological, histopathological, and clinical characteristics. If the proposed orphan indication referred to be a subset of condition, a justification for restricting the use of the product with a plausible link to the orphan life-threatening or seriously debilitating condition is required. The term life-threatening means diseases or conditions with high risk or death with fatal outcomes where the endpoint of clinical trial analysis is survival. The term severely debilitating means disease or condition that cause major irreversible morbidity. For the definition of the rare disease, we were depending on the definition by MOH, the Saudi MOH. So the rare disease or condition may affect fewer than 5 in 10,000 individuals in Saudi Arabia. When the application is submitted, prevalence should represent the number of patients in Saudi Arabia who have been diagnosed as having the disease or conditions at the time of submission of orphan drug designation. So in Saudi Arabia, we need the prevalence should be for designation. It's for patient for prevalence less than 5 in 10,000. Sponsor can apply for orphan designation at early or late stage in drug development before submitting the application for market authorization. The sponsors should compare their product with other methods for diagnosis, prevention, or treatment of the condition. Sponsors should provide a justification why the available or current methods for diagnosis or prevention or treatment of the condition are not considered satisfactory. Otherwise, the sponsor should provide justification why the proposed drug will have a significant benefit over the current available drugs. A new maintenance report needs to be submitted to demonstrate the criteria for orphan designation and to demonstrate the orphan designation criteria are still met and ensure maintenance of the orphan criteria before the time of marketing authorization. At this stage, sponsors of the designated orphan medicinal products will be required to demonstrate a significant benefit over currently satisfactory methods. In SFDA, and during this presentation, we'll focus on the regulatory incentives plus the clinical incentives. We have priority review for orphan designated products, plus the fast track approvals. Also, we provide scientific and regulatory advice and consultation provided by the staff in the drug sector and SFDA. Also, there is marketing exclusivity that will be released soon. Also, there is a recommendation for pricing. This is the first list, so there could be a list for more orphan drug designation incentives. We have a couple pathways in the regulatory we have a couple regulatory pathways to approve orphan drugs. First, fast track pathway. So it's a process designed to facilitate the registration process through verification or abridged evaluation. So for drugs that granted the approval in the US SFDA plus or minus Europe. For verification, we take 30 working days to approve orphan drug. We cannot see this in any country in the world. And 60 working days for medications that were approved in either Europe or USA. The other, maybe it's upcoming pathways, but we already doing this and during the registration. It's for breakthrough orphan drugs. So it's a process designed to speed up the development and review of drugs, which may demonstrate substantial improvement over available therapy. Also, we approve drugs according to the accelerated approval. So this pathway is suggested for drugs for serious conditions that unmet medical need to be approved based on surrogate endpoints, mainly in oncology drug approvals. For the priority review, it takes the SFDA takes action on application within few months. For generics, so for generics, it takes 3 months, 6 months if the product registered in SRA agency, and 8 months if it's not registered in any SRA agency. Okay, I think our time is running now. So, active ingredient, applicant can submit applications for orphan designation for new disease forms, new molecular entities, for anything that could be deserve orphan designation. It's expected to publish the list of orphan products on the SFDA website. Healthcare society and patient focus group could be involved in a wide range of activities and exchange the information and discussion with the SFDA in certain activities or issues related to orphan drugs. Also, in SFDA, we will review the orphan similarity for each application. Only the most relevant data can be submitted for the medical plausibility. We also welcome the companies and sponsors for pre-submission meetings. Biosimilars also can be designated as orphan drugs. Also, we provide the scientific advice for orphan drugs. Drug repurposing means investigation of already approved drugs for new therapeutic purposes or indication. One orphan one orphan drug out of 5 orphan drugs are repurposed. Orphan drug designation based on the drug repurposing also accepted. Therapeutic orphan indication in the use of drug in certain patient population, often smaller than this affected by the orphan condition, for which patient which positive benefit risk balance was adapted for marketing authorization. For applying for orphan designation, section A to E in the application for orphan designation should be submitted. The application for orphan drug designation should contain description of the condition, prevalence of the condition, methods for diagnosis, prevention or treatment of the condition, and description of the stage of development. That's all. Thank you very much. And question now.